Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Ben Fender Podcast. My name is Nathan Conway, driver of the number 40 stock car here locally. And with me, as always, is Wes, the Fender Shim Lou Allen. So, you're the Fender Shim this week. What were you last week? The Shop Towel. Yeah.
Yep, Shop Towel.
Blue and absorbent Shop Towel brand Shop Towels.
I was.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode. As I said earlier, it's Memorial Day weekend. I hate to date the episodes, but it is what it is. And we're coming at you about a day later than we normally do due to last week trying to get the big number 40 ride out. We successfully did that. Didn't have the best of luck, but we took it down to Cedar Ridge with the new colors, new wrap on it and everything. And, well, she just messing up a little bit, but we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it figured out. We got a little while to do that. So we're technically not racing this evening, and we're recording this on the 26th, May 26th. It's a Saturday.
It is.
But it's a good thing, and I'll tell you why. Because our guest today, we're losing 4 of our cylinders, and we're gonna go mini stock racing today. Mm-hmm. And with our guest is the driver of the number 225 mini stock with sponsors aplenty on the side. Lee Michael Tierney. He's going to join us. We're going to take a little field trip here in a little bit and go out to Diamond Lake Resort. We've been invited out by his family, and it's going to be pretty cool. Get to sit around with them and record while they let us interrupt their holiday weekend. As it were.
They did. Yep. You're going to hear some birds chirping, some outdoor sounds.
Yeah.
During the episode, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be. They said they had their little shack by the lake, a little campsite there, and so we're gonna be out there, and hopefully it's pretty cool. But hey, I can't think of anything better. Maybe we'll hear some. Maybe they'll fire up the go-karts or something, and we'll have that going on by the time. I hope. You never know.
Just goes to prove that there's no challenge that we can't, meet, and we are that mobile. We can beside the road, as long as we've got some power, we will record an interview.
Yeah, we do got to have some power, but that's about what we're limited by. Because hell, we can hold the microphones if we have to.
True.
So, but yeah, man, we got that's coming up on the horizon here in a little while. We're going to take a trip out there and see how that goes, and hopefully it's going to be good, and hopefully he's got some stories. He's a young driver, hadn't had a long career yet. But I think we're going to learn some things from him, hopefully, and I think he'll have some good stories. It'll be pretty cool.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, because I hadn't really had a chance to talk to Lee, and at the racetrack. I've seen him race several times, and a pretty aggressive driver, and seems to know what he wants out of that race car. So definitely the prettiest looking mini stock haulers you see coming in, because those guys have got it going on. So maybe we'll get a surprise or two out of that.
I think we will. And getting across another list, another box off my list, and get to interview another class of cards. Yeah. Get to meet another new person. So this is just, it's so cool to get to be where I'm at and get to meet all these people, and I dig it every week that we get to do this.
Well, it's going to be the same for both of us because, I've seen him race several times, and you have too, but never got a chance to sit and talk to him. And, that's the beauty of this show, is that even if we don't know you, by golly, we'll get to know you after the first hour or second hour, you know what I mean? Surely we'll know something about you. Well, and everybody else that's listening will too.
As long as we get an invite back, I guess that's all that matters.
Well, yeah, and I hope we do, and we'll see how we act. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, but guys, I want to talk for a second about some things real quick. It's Memorial Day weekend, and I know that a lot of people are out racing this weekend, and we're going to come out on a day that I know the AMS series is up in Fairbury, Illinois. Got rained out last night, Farmer City. But going to be a big show. Weather looks great up there. I actually talked to Gabriel Kirtley just a little bit ago, and he said it's a pretty big show shaping up already, and they've already got their car dialed in, so they're ready to go. So that's pretty cool. Kind of a on-site report, So it's pretty cool to be able to talk to him and just see how it's going up there. I wish I could be up there with those guys, but hey, we're spending our Saturday with you guys, and well, or whenever you listen to this. We're spending whatever day this is you're listening to it with you. And
well, maybe as those guys are coming home.
Couldn't be prouder to do that.
As they're coming home from their racing this weekend, they can, pop the podcast on and catch up on what we've been doing.
Yeah. And because we want to know what they're doing too. You know what I mean? So I'd hope that was mutual, and maybe people don't care. Maybe they do care. You know?
I think they do.
I think we're getting shown that they care quite a lot about what we're doing here. So
we heard through the grapevine that while we were not at the track last night, we were not at Windy Hollow last night. We were talked about. So
apparently we got the shout out.
Yep.
As the kids are saying, the shout out. No, we got a shout out from Jake Shown. Yeah. Hey, buddy, Jake, I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't know what I was talking about. I lost my train of thought. But Jake apparently gave us a shout out, and we cannot thank him enough for doing that and keeping our name out there and how to get, this podcast and get some listeners and I think it's working out pretty well. I think what was last count, we're up over 700 downloads.
That's correct.
700 downloads, guys, and this is episode 11.
That's big stuff.
I wouldn't think we'd have been 700 downloads after episode 30.
Nope.
But guys, and ladies, thank you.
Absolutely.
From both of us, and Wes is, he'll echo it from the mountaintops, man. We're so grateful and we're so humble about that. So, I mean, real quick, what I want to touch on, it's Memorial Day weekend.
It is.
Do not forget to think about your veterans. Do not forget to, you don't have to, and on Memorial Day is different than Veterans Day. So for a lot of people out there that don't know, it's not really an accepted practice. You can, and they'll be okay with it. But to a veteran, you don't thank them for their service. Remember the ones we've lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I can speak to that because, my father was a veteran, and, he died years later. We just lost him a couple of years ago, but he died years later from Agent Orange in Vietnam. So a lot of you guys may not know that about me, but I've got a family full of veterans. I'm not one, and, that's okay. If you're not one, that's okay. Wes did a little time in the service himself.
I did.
And so, he understands, and while you should thank your veterans every day. It doesn't just have to be Memorial Day weekend, but honor those who we've lost. So if you have lost veterans in your family, that's absolutely what it's for. Mm-hmm. So just be grateful to the ones we have. Be grateful to the ones who sacrificed. I know that later today we're going to attend the memorial service at Memorial Gardens, where my father's buried, but Glenn Family Services puts that on every year, and it's always a great service. So we're looking forward to that later, after we go and talk to Lee Michael Tierney. So it's good. I hate to get off on the wrong foot there, but it's important to me, guys, and it really is, and it's something near and dear to my heart. And, we can't do what we're doing. We can't be a podcast. We can't be out on a racetrack. We can't be sitting there eating hot dogs and pizza and whatever at our local racetrack without these guys.
It's true.
They came before us so that we can have the freedoms we have and we can enjoy the life we enjoy. It's the greatest country in the world, bar none. We have more freedom here. Depending on how you look at it, but we have more freedom here than anywhere else in the world. So, when they play that national anthem this weekend at your local racetrack, there's meaning behind it. A lot of guys, those bars ain't red for no reason. So, anyway, let's move from that. Again, thank all our veterans. Anybody that's listening is a veteran. If you know a veteran, hey, pat them on the back and tell them thank you.
Absolutely.
So, now, another piece of business we got to get to. How they can find us.
All over the place.
I forgot how they can find us. No, not really.
No, I don't think you. No.
You guys can find us on Facebook, Conway Racing Team, Twitter at Conway Race Team, Instagram, Conway Racing, and the website, www.conwayracingteam.com. That's Jake's favorite. He loves getting it through the website.
He does.
Yeah. But if you don't like getting it through the website, which you absolutely can, it's your prerogative. So you can get it on your smartphone.
Yep.
Or your dumb phone, I think. It might work. Nah, maybe not. But on your smartphone. For the Apple folks, we got you on iTunes. We got you covered. For the Android folks, Google Play Store, got you covered.
Yep.
We're on Podcast Addict, Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spotify, Tuned In, YouTube. Yep. So, Carpet Bomb.
Yep.
Drop the bomb on me.
That's the best way to get it out there, is make sure that people can find it wherever they look.
Right. And, again, guys, we're trying our best to bring it to you. We've got more and more content that we're coming out with. We got huge ideas. And the only problem is, well, it's not a problem. It's not really a problem. But due to work schedules, my days off change every week. So sometimes it's a little hard, and especially when I get weekends. Well, what's Big Nate want to do? He wants to go drive the 40 car. So, and at the end of the day, I'm a racer. I love being a podcaster, but I love being a driver even more. So, we're going to try to do some more racing, hopefully in July. We got a few bugs to work out, but again, car looks great. Nothing wrong with the car. The car's ready to go. Just got to do some surgery on that heart. Not invasive surgery, hopefully, but I think it's going to be. I think it's something small.
I think so.
That's what we've been told.
Yep, I agree.
But we haven't been told what's wrong, so we don't know. So we don't know. You know what I mean? So you just never know. Our sponsors here at the podcast and on the race car, Mach 5 Race Cars Parts and Carts. John Hayden and those guys get you hooked up. Fairview IT Management. Go see Gabriel Kirtley and his bunch down there. Martin's Towing Recovery. Tree Monkey Martin. Everybody will know that guy. Chad's Barbershop. Can't thank them enough here in Whitesville locally. Glenstone Construction, my father-in-law's business. They're in Henderson, Kentucky. Slingshot Media Group, doing a great job. And if you guys don't know, I guess we haven't talked about Slingshot very much, but
Not really.
But Slingshot, and we should have. We apologize to Kevin Russell and those guys. But go see Kevin Russell, and he can get you hooked up. He's also a realtor.
He is.
So he can help you with a new home if you have to. But Slingshot Media Group, if you guys have been to various restaurants like Real Hacienda, Beef O'Brady's, if you've ever seen the TVs that are rolling ads, well, that's Slingshot Media.
They are on 17 screens in 14 locations.
Right. And with plans to grow enormously.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to end up being in the city parks and different places like that I've heard. So hopefully that comes to a
fruition.
Yeah, whatever. Fairly quickly, so that they can get their name out there too. So we want to thank Slingshot Media Group for coming on. On our enormous hood that they have. They're adorning the hood.
They are.
So that's pretty neat to have them on board. As always, affiliated with Casper Racing, Phantom 309 Racing, and Blaze Mountain Racing. Want to thank a podcast sponsor here, High Octane Racewear and Graphics and Apparel and accoutrement that they do down there. Go see Josh Tyler for wraps on your race car, go-kart, semi-truck. They can do it big to small. Monogram Boutique is in there as well for you ladies would like to get some apparel. But they also do racing shirts and different things. Also, want to welcome Willie's Carbon Dyno Shop out of Marion, Illinois. And, we can't thank those guys. They keep that power going on top of that engine. And, wanted to give a special thanks to Billy Igler. He came to the racetrack last weekend, and he worked his butt off on my carburetor to try to get it better. And, he didn't have to. He absolutely did not have to do that, and he came there and did it, and we can't thank him enough for that.
It was really incredible to watch him, do his thing, after sitting and talking to him and learning about how he does, work with Willys and everything, but to actually get to see him work and be in the zone was just pretty fantastic. And,
serious, man.
If you need somebody to work on a carburetor, they're the people to do it.
Look no further than Mach 5, or not Mach 5, excuse me, Willie's Carbon Dyno Shop, excuse me. I was looking at Mach 5 on my list. But hey, I'll give Mach 5 another plug. There you go, John. So, guys, some friends of ours, Regional Motorsports Power Hour, Blake Smith. Mm-hmm. Go see, be sure you tune in. Well, turn into Maloney's to go listen to the show live, but tune in if you can't. You can find them on 102.7 The Game and 94.7 WBIO every Monday night at Maloney's in Owensboro, 7 to 8:30. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we're going to end up there Monday night.
25% off all specialty pizzas.
Yep. They didn't pay us to say that.
No, but you still need to know.
Guys, they really didn't pay us to say that.
No, they didn't. But you need to know.
Yeah, so you can support the show, and you get a little discount there. Make sure you check out Performance Racing Weekly. Billy Igler's show. He's got some archival things there right now, and he's working on some stuff for this year. Hopefully, we're going to bring some interviews and You know, I talked to Billy. I talked to he and Rusty Allison before we got elbows deep in the race car. You know, we got to talking about Billy about maybe, you know, doing a show with us, Joe or two with us, and co-hosting. And we'll kick Wes to the corner and watch him cry on his computer screen.
It's where I do my best work.
You do. We are undisturbed.
It's true.
The man behind the curtain.
Yep.
Pay no attention to the man. But you know, I think Billy, he was really receptive, so I'm not going to hold him to it. But if he would like to do that, I would love to have him on the show.
There is always a mic with his name on it.
Yeah, and again, guys, you know, we've been talking about this for a while, but we're still trying to get some equipment. Again, you know, it's a weekly show, so it kind of feels like in the podcast world that things go super fast, which your week does, to getting to that next episode. But, you know, it's a week at a time. So, you know, the episodes were 11 weeks. You know, you think about how many months that is now.
Yep.
You know, when you translate it, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a whole lot of time. So, you know, and every minute of it, I swear to you, every minute of it's been fun. But we want to get some more equipment, and we're working on that. We're definitely working on that to try to get some multiple guest episodes and different things like that. But, again, you know, what our main focus is getting those drivers, fans, and crew members and things like that on here to tell their story one-on-one. And that's going to be always the heart of the show. So we don't want to get too many multiple guest shows. We still want to have the single guest for you. So just know that we're working on it, and we're working on some special things. Again, we got to I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I don't want to tell them, man.
No, but what I will say, though, is if in the event somebody's got some money burning a hole in their pocket and they really want to hear these multiple guest episodes, we'll take it from them.
Yeah.
You know, we will absolutely, you know, let you sponsor us to help purchase this equipment to bring you the best quality content in motorsports on the internet.
And we're not too proud.
Absolutely not.
And guys, if you would just contact us, you know, we won't give you the full rundown here, but it's going to be very, very affordable, and it's going to be worth your time to do it. So,
because if you haven't noticed, we do like talking about our sponsors. We do like talking about the friends of our podcast. So,
I mean, we spent 15 minutes just talking about sponsors.
Yep.
So, and it's fine. I don't care. I like it. And you know, if it's helping getting them out there, well, that's the main thing.
True.
Help those who help you. Take care of those who take care of you. So, again, guys, just give us a contact if you want to, and contact us about the show. Just tell us what you like, who you want to hear. I've been talking to a couple of people, and one I thought might work out this weekend. I haven't been able to get a hold of them, but it's a holiday weekend, so I totally understand. They've got probably some family things. So.
We are looking at doing interviews all over the Western Kentucky. We've got some potentially lined up here before too long over in Mayfield. So if you're listening from that area,
and hopefully some down in Paducah as well,
and you want to be on the show, you know, let us know, and we will get you squeezed in on one of those days. Right. We are mobile. We can come to you. Heck, we're going to Diamond Lake, so you know we will come to you to get your stories and let you tell your story to our audience.
Right. So guys, again, like I said, it's going to be super affordable. And it just helps us out and kind of offsets a few of the costs. It's not super expensive. It's not as expensive as running a race car.
Nope.
It is. It does cost a little bit of money to host these things and to get equipment and things like that. So it's not free. And you know, we don't want everybody to pay for it on their backs, obviously, but just a little bit would help out. You know. So,
right.
Anyway, shameless plugs. We don't care.
Mm-mm.
It's our podcast.
Yep.
So anyway, again. Hey, we got all that out of the way. I say we get ready to get loaded up in the car, truck, van, SUV. Bad credit, no problem, whatever. And head to Diamond Lake because I really, really want to have this talk with Lee Michael Tierney, and I think it's going to be awesome.
It's a beautiful day outside. It's a great day to sit out and record.
It is. So guys, we're going to go ahead and take that break. It's going to be a long break. Not as long as you'll know, but you won't know. But we're going to head out to Diamond Lake, and we're going to be back in just a couple minutes with the driver of the 225 mini stock, Lee Michael Tierney.
Are you looking for a hometown barbershop specializing in the best haircuts in Western Kentucky? Master Barber Chad Thompson has everything you need to keep you looking sharp for not only your special occasions, but for every day as well. Offering a line of haircut products to take care of your hair between cuts. Walk-ins are welcome, and you're always going to find friends and neighbors at Chad's. You can find Chad at 10655 Highway 764 in Whitesville, Kentucky, or you can give him a call at 270-903-8183.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on the Ben Fender podcast. Another field trip. This is by far the funnest one yet. We're at Diamond Lake Resort. We've been invited to share in the family festivities out here, the Tierney family, and that can only mean we've got one person, and that's the up-and-coming mini stock driver, Lee Michael Tierney. So, Lee, appreciate you coming on the podcast, buddy, and welcome to the show.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. Thank y'all for reaching out to me. You know, I was telling you, heard on the Regional Motorsports Power Hour that y'all were going to do this, and
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, that'd be cool to do, and I think it was about that time you sent me a friend request on Facebook. I was like, well, that'll be set up before too long.
Well, I hate to be friend requesting people just because I want to get them on the podcast, but I mean, you know, I'm behind the times on some of this stuff with Facebook, and I don't have, you know, I haven't added everybody that I want to add, but a lot of times that's the easiest way to get a hold of somebody these days is to hit them on Facebook. You know, I know that you guys, the generation uses it below me a little bit more than I do. I'm more texting generation, or just call them on the telephone, but. Buddy, why don't we start from the beginning, man? Just tell everybody who you are and how'd you get started?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been in the racing field for as long as I can remember. You know, we, at 3 years old, well, I back up even further than that. Before I could even ride a bike, I had a dirt bike with training wheels on it. And finally got those off, started racing motocross at 3 years old. Did that for a few years, and we moved to town out of the country and got into street go-karts out here. They ran the Grand Prix series out here once a year, and was doing that out here. But it still wasn't, you know, it wasn't enough. And
It's never enough, man.
my buddy, my best friend, was like, let's go to the dirt races. At this point, I was an asphalt guy. I was like, no, it's ain't no point in that.
Digging taters, and we ain't trying to do that.
And he took me, and, you know, it hurts you to say it now from where we're at, but I was like, I'm ready to go home. He's like, one more week, come back and we'll go to the pits. So we came, and we went to the pits, and I didn't watch a race all night. I could not quit talking to everybody, seeing what they was doing, you know, just super interested. I told him when we got home, I said, I'm getting a car. 3 days later, ended up with a Cavalier for the mini stock that wouldn't run. And
we got to start somewhere, man.
Yeah, I worked on it and all that, and then, of course, got the Neon from the first year that I did on my own, which was a mistake.
Yeah, you got to have help.
The first lap and hot laps, the tire come off.
Well,
because I used SAE standard lock nuts for lug nuts.
Oh, man.
And then, you know, did that year, ended up Rookie of the Year. Won 4 heats and 1 feature.
That's not too shabby.
And then that winter, I got Dad on board. And we knew, said we're going to split this wide open, you know, put the time and effort and the homework into it and really do something with it. And rough number, I think we ended up 13 features last year. Sophomore season, like 15 heats, and ended up points champion at Windy Hollow Speedway.
Well, no sophomore slump for you, that's for sure. I mean, it seems like it came together pretty well and quickly. But I want to take it back to your motocross days before we get into going to the track. Tell us about how you got started in motocross. What did you just you go with your dad and your grandparents or your uncles or what? You know, how'd you get started in it?
Well, we lived in Fordsville, and our neighbors, Dad's best friends, they were a little older than me, and they did it. Well, we just started riding, and they had the practice track, and then we ended up racing. But it was pretty cool. It's sad now, you know, Nebo shut down.
Yeah.
But the first time I ever went, it was the Supercross track.
Right.
So that's where we ran a few times, and I don't remember much of it, but I knew we ran there and at the Philpott Fairgrounds and a few others. But that was where it all started.
No.
That was the bread and butter.
Well, that's not too bad.
For getting, you know, once it's in your blood, you It don't matter what you're racing as long as you are.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you bring up the old motocross track at Nebo, and I myself are a veteran of West Kentucky Speedway, and I remember all the winners when you'd win a feature. Not that I've won a ton, I won one, but I got to do this. The old motocross track, we had to pull up on top of it, and that's where you got your picture taken at Nebo before they took all the dirt out and tried to put it on the track. So racing motocross. It's kind of an interesting transition from 2 wheels to 4 wheels. What kind of classes did you race? Did you ever do any big money stuff or?
No, we started in correct me if I'm wrong, the 50s, and then went to junior, and then 65, and there was one more thrown in there somewhere, but just a little.
Yeah. Now, when you were, I guess you were, how old then?
Started at 3 and did it for 4 years, I think.
Not bad.
4 or 5.
3 to 7. So did they have? I guess it's different. I want to understand because you know what we see on TV. You know some of those big motocross races and things like that. Did they, for little guys like that? I mean, did you guys have the big jumps and different stuff that you could do?
Oh yeah, it was the same track that your 250s, your big pros are running. Right. Sometimes we'd roll over the double. Sometimes we get feeling froggy and go for it. But it's the whole thing. The gate drop, the same track. They don't change anything.
Right. So you kind of liken your interest in the sport, I guess, to your family. Did your dad race, or did he do motocross before?
He did. He ran cruiser class at KMS. When I was little, and I remember going, me and my mom and my cousin would always go. I don't remember much. I was always asleep, but
I'll say how you could be.
But I know we did, and won one race, and then he was all by himself, and he said, "I've won one. I'm done."
Hey, that's I get where he's coming from with that because and it probably took him several years or tries to get that one win, and I know how special that one win is. And I haven't won any more features since I won mine way back. But that takes admiration though to be like, you know what, I'm gonna try to take it away from myself and put it on to my children and get them started in the sport. So. But transition to from stock cars to dirt bikes though, that's interesting how that would go, especially from an asphalt driver to dirt. Yeah. To dirt.
With a road course go-kart thrown in the mix. Yeah. Just whatever.
So now you come out of the motocross, and so now we're gonna go asphalt go-kart racing. Right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. Because I'm sure you're starting to remember now. Yeah. Now you're going to be in your formative years.
Really, really cool how that started. We camp out here all summer, have been for 8, 9 bunch of years.
Right.
And they started the SIRA, the Southern Indiana Racing Association, the road course go-karts, doing it just on the road. And I just rode my bike down there one time. I was like, y'all need help? So I started throwing hay bales. Well, it wasn't 2 years later, I was flagging. I was the flagman and got real tight with all the drivers. And I was like, this would be really cool. And then the Hope for Harley came about.
Right.
Dad did a lot with it. And I was like, this is perfect. Let's do something with this. And ended up my buddy Jamie Souders, that was the president, actually said, well, my son's got a cart that doesn't run anymore. So we put the Harley decals on it first time, and we ended up in the paper for that, so that was getting that out. But it was cool racing with them. Ended up 3rd out of 3, but whatever. First time. And then
that's a top 5 finish, man.
That's right.
It don't matter how many carts was on the track.
And then it was just from there. I was like, this is cool. You're running 70 mile an hour, half an inch off the ground, open like that. And it's just the speed adrenaline. I'm like, okay, I can deal with this. So then the owner of Diamond Lake, which is actually one of our sponsors, Brian Smith had one, and it was one of the badder ones, the 2-cycle.
I think I've seen him run around this track out here on that thing.
And he's like, I can't do it. Would you? was like, yeah, I'll drive it. You don't have to ask me twice.
Yeah.
So I ended up racing it and doing really good. And it was awesome. And then I was about to buy a cart. And then, of course, that's where we got into the dirt scene where we are now.
Right. So, go-kart racing out here on asphalt, and, we talked to Cole Falloway, and he kind of gave us some insight on some of the dirt go-kart stuff. He doesn't run any asphalt. So it was an open class, or were they governed at all, or did you guys just, hey, they're like, it's open up, just have at it, y'all race it,
My first class when we did the Harley race was, what'd they call them, flatheads. And they're governed a little. But then my tag class, they're not. They're wide open. It's crazy to think that you're running about 80 mile an hour like that.
Right.
And it's
and on a track like this,
on a radar gun. It's crazy.
Yeah.
To think there ain't no way I'm running that fast, and you really are. But they're wide open.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you don't think you're running that fast, and you really are. And then sometimes you're on the racetrack, you think you're flying, and you're like, well,
really not.
Here comes a leader past you, and you're like, oh man, I thought I was setting it on fire. But so, how long did you run the go-karts after? A couple years or
2.5, something like that. Just out here mainly. We didn't travel or anything.
Right. So now, did you start going back to KMS and watching, or this whole time, or was asphalt? You thought that, hey, I'd maybe like to do that, or is like you talked about your friend taking you to the dirt track, and you kind of thought that that was going to be kind of a bum deal for you, but kind of turned into something pretty special so far.
Well, I was really into the go-karts. I was going. I wasn't racing, but I was going with them working. I went to Goodland one time.
Right.
Just helping them, talking to them, trying to get into it, and it never panned out. But I'm a really big NASCAR fan, so I always knew I was going to race, but I never thought about it, so I just jumped to the big thing. Like, let's go to ARCA or something. If we're going to race, let's do it.
Might as well
do
race
it right.
now,
Get there, get where you want to be.
Some guy's selling an ARCA car somewhere. We can get one.
Oh yeah, surely. But that was the plan, but that's just not how it panned out, and I'm really glad it didn't, because the experience and the people we've met, the relationships made, is just something that you probably weren't going to get doing that.
Right. Well, think about it like this, and I want to ask you about, if you want to put this in perspective. So your friend brings you to the dirt track, okay? Didn't have a great experience just sitting in the stands. So he's like, okay, let's go to the pits next week. And when we started this show, we kind of did that on the premise of, and it's not just the dirt tracks, it's asphalt tracks too, just short track racing. But we kind of started this show on the premise of, you can't find the characters and the people and the stories and the things that go on at any big NASCAR race, you know what I mean? Like you do at Windy Hollow Speedway, Kentucky Motor Speedway, Cedar Ridge Speedway, whatever, pick your track. There's hundreds of them all across the country. But tell us about that. Whenever you walk back there, did you just start walking up and talking to guys? Was it all different kind of classes? Whether it be street stock, cruiser, mini stock. How did it come about?
Well, we went to Cedar Ridge, right, is what it was, where we were watching, and we went back there, and Drake, my best friend, he had known the Witts for a few years, so we went back there. He's like, you can talk to them, look at it, whatever you want to. They don't care.
Right.
So we went back there, and then it was Jared Ball driving, and he was in the mini stock class. And we got to talking to them, and then it even goes further than just in the pits. They went to Nebo the next week, and Jared put a seat in his car, and I rode with him.
That's how it starts.
It was over. He was like, "Are you scared?" And I'm like, "No, go again. Keep going. Go faster."
No, our race is over, man. We can't
you're in second. You got to go. And that was when everybody was telling me, they were like, "If you want to do it, we'll help you because you'll make it." Right. You've got the mind for it. And I told him, I was like, "All right, if y'all are gonna help me, then at least a little bit, because I have nothing. I have no clue." And that was funny. Sold my golf clubs to have enough money to buy this car that didn't even run.
Well, we can push it up to speed, by God.
Well,
We got
yeah,
enough guys.
Flintstone it.
Yeah. Well, we talk about racers making sacrifices, and that's pretty cool that, after you thought about, going to the pits and talking to these people, and I remember a story back when I was 16 years old. One of the first stories I have around getting back to the dirt track. I watched all my life, but, I got in friends with Shane Sullivan. You probably know who I'm talking about. But and his wife, Tom Misty, they let me ride at Windy Hollow one night. And I just couldn't believe it, man, how much fun it was. And, of course, that was the old 8-cylinder cruiser class, back when it was basically a bomber class. But, I think that's pretty cool how that got you hooked, and now you knew. You know what I mean? This is what it is for me. And to sacrifice, just personal items, because we've seen people to do that, for a car that doesn't even run. That takes some dedication. So you get your car, and it doesn't run. So now where do we go? How do we fix this?
So now I get the old man involved a little bit. He said, I'm not getting involved. I'm not doing it. He's like, this will be on you.
He don't look very old to me. He's watching us here, boy. Look at that. He's got a smile on, so he's okay.
Well, he came on board for a little bit. He said, I'll try to help you get it running.
Yeah.
It would run for 3 seconds and die. Them Cavaliers, they go into security mode.
Right.
They don't come out. It's shot. So he said, junk it, and we'll get a neon. Because that's what everybody was saying, it's where the parts are. People know how to work on them. So, and then we ended up getting a neon from Joey and them, because they had a graveyard of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the car that won Rookie of the Year. After he finally decided, I'm tired of watching you lose tires because you're using lock nuts for lug nuts. So he came and made it safe, is what he did.
Right.
He didn't do much, just made it safe.
Yeah.
And then that winter, he was hooked. Had him hook, line, and sinker. We're going to run with it and do it right. And we built the first car together that was last year's championship car.
Right. So tell us, tell us about that first year. You make some mistakes, but then you're like, you know what, we can build on this. And so how did you start figuring things out? Did you just start watching guys that were running? Did when you were on by on the tracks, learning where guys were at and where you thought you needed to run, or did you just try to put your car where it felt the best?
Well, that first year, Ryan Koger was racing. My first year, he was still running.
That's tough competition.
He was the points champion.
Right.
Well, I would just, I picked up pretty quick. That's the one to beat.
Right.
So I would try to find his line, or on the video, see where he was going. Studying, film, whatever, and just learning as you go and building on it. Learning to drive,
Right.
learning to hold your line, because it's just so different.
Yeah.
The initial learning of all of it, and started getting better and better, and then, whoa, we want to heat at Chandler. Where'd that come from? And then kept building, stuff. Our equipment was getting better as we kept going, and ended up winning my first feature at Windy. And then after that, the heat races, they came.
Right.
But that feature, that was huge
Oh yeah.
for like your momentum and all that. Just nothing like winning really makes you want to keep winning
Yeah.
than winning your
it
first
does.
race. And so after that, we knew we really liked where we were,
Yeah.
and let's build something and run. Because after racing with Koger, and he said it, I said it, we laugh about it now. He said something about being the points champion, and then my interview was next. Well, I opened my mouth. I never do that. And Jake Shown, he said, so what's your plans for next year? I said, Koger better watch out, because I'm coming for him. I said, I'm coming to win. And I was really hoping he was going to get to last year. I understand he had some things going on,
Right.
but he didn't get to. But I was the points champion. And then this year, he's out racing Trevor Hutchins' car while he's injured.
All right.
And I was hoping he's going to be here this week because that was a fun race 2 weeks ago, too.
All right.
Koger back out. That's how it started.
Yeah, I did see that, and that's pretty cool how, you guys got unfinished business. And, it's not serious. We're not guys.
Right.
Like, we make fun of it because, this is how racers are, And, but here's the deal, man. Whenever, I see what you're saying because, when you think about it, heat wins are great. But then that feature is just so special. And it does because heats, technically don't pay the money. But my philosophy was wins are wins. And whether heat wins or feature wins, feature wins mean a lot more. But you look at it like they are momentum builders. And when you win that feature, and I hope, I'm kind of picking this up from you. Hey, we're just as good as these guys. We can run with these guys. This is not a problem. Now we need to make sure we're consistent and keep doing what we need to do, and those wins will come. And I think you guys, hopefully, that's your philosophy, and it's paying off in dividends. You know what I mean? So I mean, I want to see you guys. I really want to see this battle, with Koger because he's hardcore sometimes, and he don't give an inch. And I know, and I've seen you race, and you don't either. And I think it's going to be a good battle when we get to finally see it. I want to take a second to ask you, you think about all the motorsports you've been involved in, and what is stock car racing now? Has it evolved? But is stock car racing now your favorite form of motorsports? Have you always been a two-wheel guy, a go-kart guy, or, what's your favorite form? And that can be anything,
Well, I was, of course, the two-wheel guy first. But I fell out of love with it. That's why we stopped.
Right.
I just grew apart. I got to where I was interested in other things, just not in it anymore. And then was out here helping the go-karts. But I guess to answer your question, whatever you're doing is going to be your favorite.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad we are in the stock car scene because my goals have completely changed. It's no longer the crazy go to NASCAR, whatever. That's just unheard of. But, I mean, we are in the process of building a cruiser car now to move up.
Sweet.
Because my ultimate goal is I want to get away from local. I mean, I love local. I want to always come back to local because, that's the bread and butter where it starts.
Right.
But my ultimate goal is to do what Tyler Nicely and Josh Harris, what they're doing. They're traveling the country all summer racing 40, 50, 60, 80, some of them races. Just gone 4 nights a week, just getting where, that's racing. Yeah. You're doing it. You got to work. It's hard. Run with the Hell Tour would be awesome. But that's years down the road, of course.
Yeah.
But that's the ultimate where we want to be.
Well, the beautiful thing about this is, and it's another, and I kind of think this way, that all racing stories are beautiful because everybody's different, but everybody's the same. And, you're young enough now that that you've got some time, and you've got a family behind you. And guys, I just want to digress for a second. We literally have the family sitting out here with us. They're all hanging out, and again, we get to interrupt their Memorial Day weekend, and we thank them for that. But that's pretty cool how you're not satisfied. You're satisfied, but you're not satisfied. You know what I mean? Because you've got those things where, okay, yeah, I want to do this, but now, okay, we want to take a step up, and we want to see what happens. And I can tell you from experience, the cruiser class is very, very tough, and I just don't think that you're going to have a problem at all adjusting. I mean, I don't. I like the way you drive. You're aggressive, and you attack the track, and I like the way you drive, and I think that's something that maybe we don't see a lot of guys have right off the bat. And I know that you're having fun doing it, and but me and Wes got to watch you out at Windy Hall a couple weeks ago, and man, and you started in the middle of the pack, and you're like, nope, this ain't where I want to be.
Jumping cars.
And here you come. Yeah, it was kind of wild. It was pretty funny.
That one wasn't good. That wasn't a good one to watch, but it ended up working out. But
yeah, but that's pretty neat how you want to progress. You know what I mean? And you're not just like, well, okay, we run a mini stock. We just keep doing this because there's tougher classes out there, and not that the mini stock class is a slouch, because I mean these guys are it's tough. It's tougher than it was back in 2002. I can tell you that. But so your plan is to maybe be in a dirt modified
At some point, yes, but the Cruiser, we picked Cruiser for that reason. The competition's going to be there. I mean, you've got your guys, your Cole Falloway that is on a tear right now, and you've got your Jake Hampton and all of your Morgantown cars that are running, door to door all the time.
Right.
18 of them. I mean, just good racing going on. But there's a bunch of them, and they're all trying to win, but they're all good drivers as well.
Right.
They're not going to drive you dirty. And, that's why we picked that class to do. And, Mach 5, they're helping us out a little bit because, that's a whole nother ball game yet again. Something else we got to learn and pick up on. But we picked the Cruiser because, it's the highest of the high at Windy, which is our home track.
Right.
And the way their rules are set up, when it's done, we'll run Cedar Ridge in a street stock. But that's just for the seat time because, you think about it, there's 4 or 5 street stocks at Morgantown now versus my first time out in a car like that with 18, 20 of them. In everybody's way, could get hurt. Just learn to do it first before we take that step.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, transitioning from front-wheel drive cars to rear-wheel drive cars is a step. And plus add 4 more cylinders because we left the 4 cylinders at home to come down here this week. So, and that's fine. We enjoy it. But I want you to put your fan hat on for just a second, man, and I want you to think about all forms of racing and anything local or national. But I want you to tell us about your favorite drivers, and that could be NASCAR level down to fellow mini stock drivers that you love to see race, and how come you like those guys?
Well, I tell you. Mini stock wise, there's a few of them, but my best friend Dalton Elliott, our points battle was super close last year in the 21, and we're always door to door, and I really like running with him local wise. But when the big races come in, and he knows it too, we're real good friends, talk to him all the time. But Blaine Ellis is gonna have to come back to a local track at least once this year, just to see. I always enjoyed running with Blaine, learned a lot from Blaine. But I want to beat Blaine really bad.
Well, you don't get better by not racing the best. You know what I mean? And some of those guys have been on a tear as well. I mean, you think about the way it used to be with Richard Ashby, and now, of course, he's transitioned more into. But hey, he came out there a couple weeks ago and showed them that he wasn't playing.
He sure did.
So, but transition into the promoter role with Cedar Ridge, but. You think about the level of competition that's starting to come back in the mini stock class, and that's pretty cool. How you're like, I want to beat them all. I want to beat them all. I want to be out front. That's where I want to be, and you can't take that dream away from somebody. So
last year, Blaine, he was our problem. Every time he showed up, we knew unless something happens, we're in second again. And I think he came twice and second both times, and then in the big race they had last year, that Georgia sanctioned 5,000 to win.
Right.
Blaine ended up winning, and I ended up 4th. But we were the only 2 Kentucky cars in the top 4. I think Dalton. Well, we were only ones in top 5. Dalton's Indiana.
Right.
So the only 2 Kentucky cars in the top 5 were me and Blaine.
And that's something to be proud of, man. I mean, in a big race like that.
Oh yeah, but he knows that I tell him all the time, give him grief about it. He's the one I've got to beat now. And he tells me, he's like, I don't even know if I'm racing local. I said, you'll have to at least once. Just because.
Do it for me, man.
Yeah.
I'll pay you pit pass.
Yeah, please.
Well, Lee, we've come to that point in the show. We're going to take a break real quick, and we'll come back and reset on the other side. We got to pull in, and we got to change those lock nuts to lug nuts so we don't lose another tire. So we'll be back on the other side with Lee Michael Tierney.
Breakdowns, collisions, lockouts, things can happen on the road at any time. That's why you should call Martin's Towing and Recovery. They have years of experience to help you in your time of need. Within minutes, we can provide you towing service, jump starts, gas refills, and even unlock services to get you back on the road. We are proud to be able to provide honest, dependable service that our customers have come to trust. Please give us a call 24 hours a day at 270-929-0718 for all your automotive emergency needs.
And we're back out here at Diamond Lake Resort talking to Lee Michael Tierney today. And Lee, I want to talk to you real quick about something that a lot of drivers have. And you may have known this from when your dad was racing things. But race day rituals, man. You know, a lot of people, you got to wear the same pair of underwear, the same pair of socks or something like that. There's certain things you have to do to your car. But I just wanted to ask you, is there anything that you do on a normal race day that you just got to do it? It's got to happen. It's got to do this so that you guys you think you can continue your success.
Well, I tell you, it's funny. You know, his background in music, you'd think his radio never turns off. Well, no, it's never on. He cannot handle it. He wants it quiet. He listens, thinks, you know, but I have to.
Right.
Once we hit the parkway, and it's not any certain songs, but it has to be on. You know, just something, I guess, clearing your head or whatever. And I guess the certain thing is it's the same shorts and pair of shirt every week. You know, just not superstition or whatever, but it's just, you know, don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of drivers, they do that, especially when you get on a tear and things like that. And it's just, you're like, well, you know, I wore that last week. Let's try it again this week. But so you like listen to the radio, huh?
I do.
To clear that head.
Yeah. Just something, you know, where you're not sitting thinking about it, worrying about it. I mean, of course you got to think about it a little bit. Hit your marks, what's going on, wonder what the track does. But as far as worrying about it, clear that head, keep it clean.
So you're not a worrier, huh? You don't
No.
worry about it too.
I try not to get worked up over anything.
you let mom worry about it.
That's right.
So if you think about your young career up until this point, and it's been a good one, just think about what advice you would give to somebody who's just coming into the sport, wants to get started, but maybe doesn't have that direction.
You know what I'm going to say is don't give up. You know, it's going to be hard. You're going to have these problems that's going to show their face. I mean, it's racing. You know as well as I do. But, you know, you push through them. You keep going. You hit it in the garage hard. You know, you do what you got to do. You just put your head down, keep fixing, keep pushing, and eventually you'll run out of problems. And then, I mean, it'll work out.
Right. And so, you know, we talked to Josh Harris a couple of weeks back, and you know he was talking about preparation and how, you know, being in the garage and doing your homework and races. You know, a lot of races are won in the garage, and I believe that. And but you know, do you guys do you take a special, you know, eye to that to make sure that you know some of those problems don't, you know, befall you at the racetrack, that you can catch them in the garage?
Oh, I mean it takes a whole winter to get halfway to where we want to be, because you can't tell without, you know, running it.
Right.
And that's the problems we ran into, were unforeseen issues that you don't know was going to happen. That we had our first two tries at Windy Hollow. You know, we sent a rod through the block once. Well, you can't do nothing about that. That just happens.
That's serious. I don't know if that was a bolt or not.
That just happens. But then, like, our timing belt broke. You know, we had a bad tensioner pulley that you can't just tell by looking at.
Right.
But, you know, it's all fixed, and last night came out, everything seemed to be great. But, you know, we're not satisfied. We're not going to sit back and just to be ready next week. No, this week it'll get clean, ran through a whole 9, looked at every day, some changes if we need them.
Right. Well, and you know that's important. And you know, you talk about having a good support system. Talk to me a minute about you being able to do this with your father and your family around you, and you know that a lot of times family racing operations, you hear about that a lot in the sport. But tell us what it means to you to have your family around you.
Well, I tell you, this year more so. You know, this winter we lost my grandmother that never missed a race. You know, the biggest worrywart on the face of the earth. You know, to something that she couldn't see coming. Nobody could. Just up and happened. So this year's been hard on Mom, you know. But the cool thing about it is what most people don't know under our wrap is everybody in the family has picked a favorite Bible verse and is written on the car, and then they get covered with the wrap.
Wow.
You know, that's something that, you know, might not mean something to other people, but as a family, you know, that's something we take pride in. We all get together, do that, and then the wrap goes on, and everybody's there to see it the first time.
Right.
And the support, I mean, you win, you're excited, you know, you come home to the people that were there.
Right.
So then, I mean, it's still going. And like Dad, you know, as much as he's learned into it and helping, and finally got him roped in where we need to be, and if it ever takes off, it's because of this support system is why we'll be where we want to be.
Right. And, you know, that's something that, you know, I would have never known. And I'm glad that we got to hear a story like that, you know, and both, you know, it's got its tragic moments, but then it's got its highs, you know what I mean? And to where your whole family, you know, will be able to do that. And it's something that, you know, you're right, a lot of people's not going to know, but that's something that your family can share in. And they know that every time that car's going around the racetrack, you know, you guys have that something special riding with you. You know, Dale Earnhardt had the lucky penny, and you know, and Stevie Waltrip would put the Bible verses in he and Daryl's cars, and that's pretty neat how that you can liken it to that.
Yeah, I mean, just something, basically the glue that holds it all together. I know we are very close-knit family, and just something to hold it all together. You know, we give all our glory to God anyway, always have, always will, but there's something makes you feel more comfortable in the car. You know, I don't go out and worry about, you know, what's going to happen. I mean, that could be unsmart, or not smart, I should say, but I feel like I don't have to. I feel like there's always that hedge of protection, you know, and I know the support's here.
Right. And we hear Rusty Allison, you know, longtime chaplain of the track, and when Mike Morse was around, you know, they would talk about the hedge of protection that to be on the drivers, to you know, the victory that we have is in Jesus. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what happens on that racetrack, and we got to be safe, and that's the thing. And I think you're right that me personally, I think about that and how, you know, maybe sometimes we've got those hands around us, you know, and it's weird how it happens that way, and it's just you in the car, you know, but maybe you got that co-pilot with you, you know what I mean? Especially, you know, now that, you know, sadly your grandmother has passed away, you know, maybe she at some point, maybe she's there with you, you know, and it's kind of comforting to think about things like that.
Oh, for sure. But, you know, I blame the first night on her, you know, when we blew the motor, because I said, well, she's thinking this is way too fast. She can't handle it. So
you're going to have to calm it down.
You're going to have to do something there.
We got to slow you down a little bit. But, you know, and you know, we talk about your family, and we just got done during the break just talking about some different things and how some tragedy has befallen, you know, one of your family members, and how that he came out of that. And it seemed like everything the odds were against him. And to be your family's faith rooted in that, you know, rooted in the Lord, that's means something, and it's evident by that story, you know. And we won't share the whole story here, but that's pretty neat, man. You know, I'm rambling a little bit because I'm a little bit speechless about it, because you know, I did not know that, and we found something, you know, a tidbit that a lot of people probably don't know. So, and we thank you for that, for sharing that with us. So, I want to move to you being at the racetrack. My paper's about flying away. You being at the racetrack, and you think about the stories that only you guys could tell in the pits, and your interactions with other drivers. You were talking about how you have some fun with Jimmy Waters and different people, but tell us some of those stories. How people, you know, you said people think you're fighting, you guys are into it all the time, but you're really not, you know. But tell us some stories about being in the pit.
Well, Don Elliott, he's got that one racked up. He knows he does. You know, I guess it was last year, somebody was telling me a story. They were in the stands and had brought somebody, and after watching the heats, they said, I'll put 50 on that 21 Eclipse, which is Dalton. And my buddy said, well, I'll put 50, but we're going to put it on the neon. And right off the bat, Dalton thought he had me cleared on the takeoff and cut over. Well, he shoved me in the wall. Well, right then, everybody thought, oh, this is going to be bad. Well, now I ended up, getting around him and getting that one, and he was in second. And he pulls up on the front stretch, and, you look, and you can watch everybody start standing up. Well, the first thing we did was just a big bear hug. I mean, that just throws people off.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you don't see that
No.
at all. Or we'll get in the pits and we'll get to screaming and arguing. I mean, not really, but act like it.
Yeah.
You just see turning heads. Like, what is going on over here? But that's just, it's like I was telling you on the break. We don't condone that.
Yeah.
I know they say you're responsible for your crew. That's why our crew's really small. I mean, we don't want all that big mess, the fighting, because that's what's going to kill the sport.
Yeah.
You got people on the front stretch or whatever out fighting, screaming, cussing. Well, you've got little kids up there.
Exactly.
Well, not only are the kids seeing that, but the parents of the kids are like, we're not coming back here. And that could have been a future driver, the next generation drivers that are never going to come back now
Right.
because of that.
Well, and you think about it from we think about a movie from the '80s, Roadhouse, and they said that people are not going to come to a bloodbath, and I kind of feel that same way. As you're right, people aren't going to bring their children, even though we live in a society these days where 5-year-old kids are watching R-rated movies and different things.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying, but you think about that and how that's their first impression, especially if somebody like they're sitting at home on a Friday night or Saturday night. Okay, we won't single out any tracks. It's happened at every racetrack in America, but they're sitting at home on a Friday or Saturday night and they think about hey, let's do something different. Somebody said that Windy Hollow was having this big show, Cedar Ridge is having this big show, so we want to go down there, and all they see is a bunch of yokels out there slinging punches, wrecking cars, flipping each other over the barriers, just to do it because they're mad about something. And as drivers, we're notorious for getting mad. But that resonates with people. And I think, you hit it right on the head is you got a small crew for a reason. And it's that way you don't have 55 people in the back yelling and screaming and throwing hammers and things like that. I mean, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, I mean, I had somebody last year put it into perspective. I said, I always knew we weren't going to act like that because, number one, I knew I'd get jerked. I wouldn't be racing anymore.
Right.
But somebody put it into perspective. They said, I bought tickets to a fight and the race broke out.
No, I have said that myself.
I said, well, that you put it that way, that's true.
Yeah.
Now this year, I will say we've been, watching. We try to go somewhere every night there's a race and at least watch, interact.
Right.
And it seems to be a whole lot better than it has been.
Well, and we want to get to the state of racing here in just a few minutes and the way you see things from your perspective of racing. But I think you're right. It has gotten a little bit better. And, talking about, transition into that, a lot of people will argue at the racetrack and things like that. But I want to talk about social media for a minute. And I think that people, you're on Facebook and we talked and think different things, and especially you and Wes. But you look at all the people and how Facebook, Twitter, Instagram has evolved and how much more presence it's got in racing. I mean, do you see that more people are using it for good or using it for bad things when it comes to racing?
When it comes to racing, there's both sides. You can see both. You've got fans that don't, know you well enough to call you and ask.
Right.
But they follow you on Facebook. Twitter, Instagram, something like that, they're looking for results. So, it can be great. But then you get in your arguments where you're getting people tore up, and that's the first thing they run to.
Yep.
They're bashing tracks, they're bashing drivers.
Right.
And more people are seeing that than it would if they're just talking to somebody.
Right.
And, that's killing our local tracks. We've already had Nebo shut down, and countless more are headed on their way, and it's sad. It's dying out, but it can be fixed. But social media it's hurting it because you're seeing people that want to go try this for their first time, never been to watch, but they're reading these reviews where people are bashing it. Well, no, I don't think so. We'll find something else to do.
Yeah, we'll go to the movies and spend our
Or
$20 or something.
Yeah,
you know.
do something different.
Yeah, and you're right. And I saw some posts. Apparently, there was a couple incidents that happened at Windy Hollow last night, and it was in the pit area. It was kind of confined to the pit area. I don't know the story, and I'm not going to talk to that because I haven't heard. But I already saw, this morning people, and I heard about it last night, and I was like, well, I'll watch Facebook because somebody's going to put something. And a few people did. But you're right. People are so quick to, just take for example. Again, we don't bash tracks on this show. We don't bash any other drivers. We don't do anything. But Windy Hollow the first weekend, and it was rough. Okay, again, we've said this many times. They were digging out a hole for the winter, and it was just rough. It's just a victim of circumstance. Okay, they tried. It's a lot better now, but they tried. Well, immediately people were like, "Oh, it's so rough, and there's holes out there you could lose a Jeep in, and this and that and the other." Well, why don't you guys give them a chance? Instead of getting on there and everybody's like, "Oh, Windy Hollow's rough." Now these drivers that are 3 hours away follow Windy Hollow, maybe want to come down here and run. They see it. "Oh, Windy Hollow's rough. I ain't going over to tear my stuff up." Well, give them a chance, guys. I'm sure you feel that way.
Yeah, last night it was wonderful.
I saw some video. It looked good.
But the first race, it was fresh dirt. The weather did not cooperate, and it started out of the gate with an AMS show.
Yeah.
If it's going to blow apart, it's going to do it when the modifieds are out there. For sure.
I get it.
800-900 horsepower. That's when it's going to happen.
Right.
And especially with a bunch of them. But it didn't. That was 1 week. The next week, the next race anyway, couldn't even tell anymore.
Right.
Of course, everybody knows 3 and 4 had the ditch in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it took them 2 weeks. And now it's better. And I love it. They widen the racing surface,
right,
make it more interesting. And that new dirt is wonderful. And the track work they're doing it's unbelievable. The difference from last year to this year, and especially from race 1 to race 3.
Right. And you look at, you talk about the Westerfields, and Jake Schown echoed this. He said, the best thing about Jimmy Westerfield is the worst thing about Jimmy Westerfield. He's never satisfied, and he never gives up. And I think the Westerfield family are working as hard as anybody has worked at Windy Hollow Speedway in the last 5 or 6 years at least to get it to where it's racy. The car numbers kind of didn't show it last week, but you got to think, there was a threat of rain. It didn't, which is good. And, it's a holiday weekend. But, all factors aside, that track was great.
Oh, it was wonderful, When you can go out and not worry. Of course, there's always going to be holes. That's every track. It's dirt. It's not asphalt.
No.
There's going to be holes for them, whatever. But when you don't have to go out and think, oh, my God, this is going to break suspension or something.
Yeah.
Because they're on to something.
Yeah.
They've caught something that's going to work and be really good for around here.
Well, and not taking anything away from Cedar Ridge, we were there last weekend, and tonight, if it doesn't rain, I don't think it'll be any different. That track surface is second to none right now.
Oh yeah, that clay Richard brought in last year, and worked for them wonderfully. We got to race a couple times this year in the backup car out there, waiting on the new one and waiting on Windy to get where they needed to be and everything.
Right.
I love it. I'm ready. I told them, I said, I think we just load up and go tonight. Their track surface is
guys,
really.
That got shot down very, very quickly.
It did. It didn't last long. But I tell Richard when I see him, I'm like, I'm loving the track. It's wonderful.
Right. And and that's what I'm talking about is positive feedback. And not you don't have to get on Facebook and just go crying, ranting, raving, and say, oh, it's great, it's great. That's positive. That's great if you would do that. But just telling those track promoters, say, hey man, go up and shake their hand. Say, hey, you're doing a great job. Doing a great job. It ain't there. It ain't perfect. We realize that. But you're doing a great job.
But you're on to something.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what they want to hear, So, one quick thing before we take another break. We were talking about anybody famous, famous people that you've ever met around the racetrack or anything like that. He's got a queue up. Dad over here. Isn't it a gentleman involved in Formula One now?
Yeah, our newest sponsor this year is actually Ken Thompson's the owner. It's called Mustang Sampling. Mm-hmm. They deal in the natural gas field, and he owns a Formula One car that actually set the new world record this year at the Rolex 24 for laps counted, and the old record was in the 700s, and his new record was actually 808 laps.
Wow.
So it wasn't 1 or 2 laps. He beat it.
So you guys are definitely connected with people that know racing, and maybe on a different scale. But we can take the fenders off at Neon. It won't be a problem.
Oh, for sure.
We put a big
yeah.
old wing on it. We'll run her down there in a 24 Daytona or 24 Rolex. But, well, Lee, I want to go ahead and take another quick break, and we're going to be back on the other side. We're going to come back with the state of racing. So I want you to be thinking about that.
All
I'm going to
right.
get your take on it. So we'll be right back.
For most of us, our lives revolve around our computers. From banking and paying your bills to organizing and storing your photos. You need your computer to just work. If computer problems are driving you crazy, call Fairview IT Management at 270-228-4339, and they can get you back on track with one phone call. You can also find Fairview IT Management online at www.fairviewitm.com.
All right, we're back at the white flags waving. We still got all 4 tires on the car. We got fuel in it this time. We heard a story earlier. Your granddad told a story about maybe somebody forgot to fuel the car now. That might be a big deal there. You need that to get to the end. Lee, I want to go into something. This is something we ask everybody that's on the show, and it's something I'm really interested in. It's the state of racing. And now the state of racing is, what do you think about local racing? Now, that can be on asphalt, dirt, any track around here within 2 or 3 hours. But how do you feel it is? Do you feel it's strong? Are we on the right track? Or do you feel it's struggling and there's more we can do? I mean, how do you feel about it?
You hear stories. I know anybody in the racing community remembers McHenry.
Mm-hmm.
You know how big it was, and and then it falls off.
Right.
It seems like a few years ago, it was running out.
Mm-hmm.
But as it seems to me like we've been progressing, Richard and them, Jimmy, everybody, they're on the right track.
Right.
They're on to something, changing it up, being unique with it.
Right.
And, I know for sure Richard this year has only had one weekend with less than 100 cars.
Yeah.
And he was still at 89. I mean,
that's pretty
that's
good.
an awesome turnout.
Right.
And they always got the cars, Last year, it was hit or miss with Jimmy and them at Windy Hollow. But this year, I can tell people are wanting to come. They're going to. I know they're going to. Just seems like I can't figure out what it is, but somebody somewhere is on the right track.
Right.
It's growing. It's being back to where it needs to be. The stands are filling up again. I love seeing that, with the fans out and people watching. That's great because, as drivers, we love seeing that.
Right.
We love coming around 4 and looking and it just being jam-packed full.
Right. And okay, take it back with, you think about last year, okay, versus this year. What do you see? I mean, do you see as there's anything any different that's bringing these people back, that's bringing these race cars back? Because, gas prices are still very, very high. Steel prices are high and rubber. But do you see anything that's different that's bringing these people back to the racetrack? Are people bored? Are they just bored and want to come do something else?
That's what I've been trying to figure out. I don't know if, because the racing last year at Windy Hollow, that's where we ran last year, was always so good. It was always a show, every class, every week. You were getting your bang for your buck.
Yeah.
I don't know if people saw that last year and are coming back bringing new ones, or if over the winter, somebody just woke up and was like, hey, we're going to do this summer.
Yeah.
Or if the track surface is changing. I know, of course, Richard and them, they changed. Last year it was new.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, it's dialed in, and it seems like the payout's going up a little bit as far as from a driver standpoint. Some classes are going down, some are going up. It's hit or miss. But I can't figure out what it is, but it seems like the people are coming back. They're getting back to where it used to be. We're on, like I keep saying, it's on the right track.
Yeah. And so looking at that, and that's a great thing because we've been a big proponent of bringing people to the racetrack that's never been. And it happened to you. You know what I mean? You're one of those success stories about how it started out that way, and you gave it a second chance, and now you're hooked. Wes is a success story Now, he's not racing yet, guys.
Yet. Keyword.
He wants to. Now, don't get me wrong. He wants to. But he's one of those success stories. When I brought him to Windy Hollow last year, and he was like, it's fun. I don't know if I go back. It was fun. It's hot. You know, and you know, he looked like a lobster when we left, and because he turned red. But he, you know, he came back. He wanted to come back this year. We got involved in the podcast stuff. He got deeper into it, and he came back to Windy Hollow this year, and now he's absolutely hooked. And so we think about it like that. Bringing new people to the racetrack is one of those things where even if it's a family friend, a kid, or whoever, just invite them to the racetrack. And I think that's important.
That's always been my thing. You know, I go through a lot of people at work through the week, you know. Y'all ever been? Well, no. Well, here's a schedule. And I'll hand them a schedule. And, you know, I've had a few show up, and now they don't miss.
Right.
They go. They're there.
Yeah.
And if they're not at one, they're at the other. I mean, sometimes both. That's just hooked. I think that's a big thing that I want that people need to understand is these ones that are going every week, they're already there. They're already going to be there.
Yeah.
You've got to get the ones that haven't been that are going to go and might take a liking to it, and then there's more regulars that are going every week.
Right. Well, and it's not, you know, a lot of people, and especially the people I work with, they're not interested in racing, and that's fine. It's each his own, you know. I'm not interested in you know, music and movies and different stuff like they are, you know. But, you know, it's important to expose people to something new. And, you know, we get back to what we were talking about earlier. If you expose them the wrong way the first time, you know, that can stick with them. But if you expose them the right way, and these tracks are keeping tabs on that and making sure that it's good, then I think people are going to, you know, they're going to come back. They're going to bring their kids. They're going to bring their kids' friends, you know, and I think it'll be a good thing.
Yeah, because it's like we were talking earlier, you know, you don't want to see a bunch of fighting. I mean, you want it to be a family place. And it seems like we're definitely working back toward that. Yeah. You know, like I said, it's been a lot better this year than it was last year. I remember a lot of breakouts last year. Like I was telling you, you know, bought tickets to a fight and a race broke out. This year it seems like we're buying tickets to a race.
Yeah.
So far. I mean, and I would like to see that keep progressing and keep going the way it's going, because that's what it needs. It needs people to know that, hey, this is okay. This isn't as bad as, you know, people make it sound.
Right.
Back to the social media thing. You know, people always fighting, arguing, whatever. Well, people see that.
Oh, yeah.
So
more people than you think see it. And that's the thing is, you know, maybe it's not people that are just friends, because that's the way Facebook works is, yeah, you might be friends with the track or this, that, and the other. But, you know, if you get people liking that page, you comment on it, well, other people can see it, and then it starts snowballing, you know, and then they are see, well, I can't believe y'all go to some goofy thing like that, you know, a bunch of fighting in this
redneck fest.
Yeah. Well, but, you know, you talk about that as being people fighting and stuff like that. We want to see those disagreements settled on the racetrack. And, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, there's more wraps, there's more paint, there's more metal to go around. And I'm saying tear each other up. But if you guys are just rubbing fenders and rubbing tires, that's good racing. That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's what people want to see. I mean, you got to put on a show.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to win, but as far as you're right, not tearing each other up,
right?
Because the fans might think they want to see that, but once they see a good race, that's what they want to see.
Yeah, and you know you only got 80 drivers. Just ballpark. I'm just throwing out numbers. So you only got 80 drivers in the pits, you know, and they're trying to put on a show for the 800 plus fans. You know what I mean? That paid their money to get in there to see that good show. And I think that's important. It's up to the drivers to put on a good show. It's up to the promoters to put on a good show, but it's up to the fans to support it. You know, and I think it works all hand in hand.
Oh, it does. You can't have one without the other.
Nope.
But you can't have a track without the fans, you know, paying, keeping the lights on.
Right.
And you can't have a race without the drivers either.
Right.
I mean, you have to have one to get the other.
Right. So, looking at it, what do you like about the racing right now? Is there something in particular that you just absolutely love what these tracks are doing? And then I want to ask you about the flip side on the other side of that.
The thing I like that the tracks are doing, you know, it's like I say, don't give up. They're not satisfied. they know there's more they can do, and they're working as hard as they can, giving 100% to give from a driver standpoint, the best track we can have to race, keeping them racy, not one lane. It's like I was talking, Richard, he has told me before, he's like, it's 1.5 lanes. It's hard to pass. We're going to work on that. I think they're up. It's racy now, and I know Wendy from running the few times we have, there's 3 or 4 lanes. It's 3 or 4 wide if it needs to be now, and it's racy surface.
Right. Well, I want you to look at the flip side of that, and you look at the way these shows are ran. And again, not any track in particular, and this could be a track 3 hours away. But you look at the way the shows are ran and some of the stuff people do complain about. Was there things you would change, like time management, track prep, just the way the shows are run? You think about it in a race night, it'd be like, you know what? I wish they would do this, or they would do that. And it would make it a whole lot better.
We've been to a few races. The big thing that always gets, like our people that go with us, that are in the stands, is the intermissions wear them out.
Yeah.
You got them where they're supposed to be just a short break, and they end up an hour and a half, 2 hours long.
Yeah.
I mean, now I understand there's got to be a break for your track officials.
Right.
But, the intermissions, they were long. But all the tracks around that we have run, or that I've been to watching, they've picked up on that. They're listening to what the people are telling them, and it's so much better. The time management is a really big thing.
Yeah. And I think I saw that this week on Facebook again. Yeah, using social media for good. But they weren't bashing any tracks or anything, but they were just talking about it. I think OneDirt.com had it, and they were talking about time management and how, is it killing our sport? About how we don't, and I'm not singling out the mini stock class at all, and I'm not singling out the modifieds. But I have seen mini stock races that take a damn hour, to get going, or get, caution after caution after caution after caution. And again, not that single class, but any class. Do we need to go back to these where, these guys are pointing at their watches? Hey, you guys got 20 minutes, and that's it. Well, if you 20 minutes, we're throwing a white flag, we're throwing a checkered flag. Do we need to go back to that? And I know that might shortchange drivers a little bit because it cuts down on their racing time. But then again, you got to think about the fans too.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got people that physically can't, or just really don't want to be there till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And last night the red flag during the Bombers, they couldn't be helped. I mean, it happens all the time. But that was the longest race of the night, and we were in staging the whole time.
Right.
And honestly, I laid back, took a nap. Dad hit me. He said, "Hey, you got one to go." Oh, okay, here. Okay, let me wake up for a second. But,
give me a cup of coffee.
Yeah. But I can see where that would, if it, not off the gate, what I would do, not off the bat, say, hey, this is a 20-minute race, that's all you got.
Right.
Give them, okay, we're going to do 12 laps. Unless it starts getting bad, there's going to be a lot of cautions. Well, then it might knock it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But as far as, let us race, really.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, but you can't leave us out there all night. I understand that too. I'm on board with that.
Right.
I've been in a few races where I thought, I'm worried I'm not going to have any battery left.
Yeah.
I've been out here for 3 hours. Yeah. This is ridiculous. About to run out of gas again.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I know, and that's something that the promoters and track personnel have to talk about, because, they got to do what's best for them.
Right. And quick story on that line. I went to Volunteer Speedway one night, and we were going to the race in Bristol in NASCAR. And we went to Volunteer Speedway in Tennessee, and we got to watching some of the race. They had the street stocks out there, and I swear to you, they were out there for 20 minutes, got maybe 2 laps of racing in, caution. They pulled them off the track. Now the late models were there, the Lucas Oil late models were there, and they put them on the track, and they're like, hey, you guys just go cool it because we don't got time. But then they brought them back out, same thing happened. Then they pulled them off the track again. I mean, to me, that might be a little bit embarrassing to my class. You know what I mean? Not necessarily the track, because the track is taking care of it.
Right.
If we can't. You know what I mean? But
yeah, from a class thing, you're right. It would be. You you got people thinking, well, these guys can't get it together. They don't need to be out there at all.
Yeah.
When, I mean, it's just a bad night sometimes.
It is. And that's where you can't judge that quick on some of that stuff.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So, and we got to give guys a break, because everything's not perfect, So, take your fan and take your, well, you can put your fan hat still on, but I want you to put your promoter hat on too. Think about the racetracks around here, and you think about things you might have seen at different tracks and different places or on TV. And what are some of the things that you'd like to see in the future? That could be special events, specialty races, specific classes, just different stuff. And the sky's the limit, man. It doesn't matter. You got unlimited money. You got unlimited time. What would you like to see at some of these tracks? Try something new.
One thing I've always thought about, our family kind of has a background in production, commercial, recording, anything really. I've always thought, why not get a radio station to come out and do like they do the NASCAR races on Sunday and do the play-by-play, do the commentating. People that can't be there, they can listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I know NASCAR-wise, I'm a big NASCAR fan, but if I can't go to the track, I'd rather sit in the car and listen to it.
Right.
And you let your imagination work. And not only that, I really like what they do with the class specials. Last night, Cruiser Night. I know Cedar Ridge does their big memorial races, the Hope for Harley. I love that. I love how they do that because that's where you're going to flood your cars.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Wendy Hollow does their class specials, so it might be one class with 20 and the rest normal or whatever, but you're still flooding. You're getting people in there that haven't been, that's coming for the big money. And then they're going to be like, they could be like, oh, this is really nice. Really like it out here. Well, we're going to come back. Then you've got repeats.
Right. Well, and you think about it along those lines and how, yeah, you're right, that one class might have 20 cars where normally they have, 10 or whatever, which is not something we're seeing these days because the class car counts are going up, which is great. And so if we got 30 instead of 10, that's great. But you think about it along those lines of, we're showcasing each week we're trying to showcase those classes, and just like they did for the mini stocks and trying to bring that big money race in there, and they were getting guys from and it unfortunately it rained, it kind of derailed it a little bit, but they had guys coming from 6, 8, 10 states away, to race there, and I think that's a big deal, and it was going to put a lot of emphasis on the mini stock class.
Oh yeah, that was a very huge talked about deal for building up to it. And I know I was talking, I guess it was that last year before it happened, I was talking to Blaine Ellis about it. He kind of did the groundwork for it between Jimmy and the SCDRA people. And I forgot how many states showed up and one from Canada. I mean, a whole different country showed up. And those guys, they really liked it.
Yeah.
They said they liked it, but granted, not a lot of them came back. But, they were talking to other people. And this year I've seen more new mini stocks that were not here last year than I ever have.
Right.
Just new cars, new competition.
Well, I know watching it from the stands, I've seen the same thing with all kinds of different cars, especially showing up in the mini stock class. And we think about, Cedar Ridge from a couple of weeks ago or a week or so ago that they had, they had to run a B main because they had so many mini stocks. And how cool of a problem is that to have? You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. Their opening weekend, we ran last year's car and looked at the board and got the car count, and there was 28 mini stocks.
Wow.
And it was after that week he said okay, B main.
Well, and and that's important sometimes, and it does, and I know it's a B main. And I kind of think, one thing it kind of struck me as weird is they ran their A main, and then they ran their B main, and B mains are usually reserved for filling out your field and giving those guys a chance to race for the money. But I guess it's pretty neat to have a race for those guys too, so you can win a trophy or some money. Or
That's
some
what
checks,
it is. He said we're going to give everybody else a chance. He said there's 30 of us on a normal night. He said the people it's different on the scale. You've got some here and some here, some that's been doing it, some that haven't, your new ones. My cousin is 11 and starting, Cole Davis.
Right.
This is his second year. He doesn't need to be out there. He wants to be in the A main just because that's how he is. But he knows he's got to get some experience. He's 11 years old,
Right.
and that's great for that. And back to time management, that helps that a lot because then you're split into just ballpark, say 12 in the A and 10 in the B,
Right.
instead of 22 all at one time.
They can put on just as good a race in both races.
Yeah, double the race.
Right. Well, along those lines, talking about splitting them into B mains, what do you think about having the last chance races or the hadn't won a feature and put all those guys out there and different stuff like that? I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, back from going to a promoter standpoint, because that's where that would come from, is that would be great. Give them something. Maybe invert the field once out of a blue moon, just once a year in each class. Just be like, oh, by the way, this is your night. You're inverted. Just something like that. Keep it, switch it up. But I wish we had the time where we could all qualify.
Yeah.
I love qualifying. It's just it gives you a minute for the fans and people in the stands, to see you one at a time.
Right.
Get to see how you're going to race and really watch the clock. And it keeps you on the edge of your seat, like, oh, I wonder if he beat the fast time or not.
Yeah.
Just kind of add something. But back to time management, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
To qualify 80 cars.
Well, I know that 2 weeks ago we went and watched the World of Outlaw race, and I don't know if you're familiar with Johnny Gibson. He's the announcer for the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Car Series, and it's pretty funny because they're out there qualifying, one lap at a time, and then all of a sudden you'll hear him yell "quick time," and watching those guys beat those times, that's exciting. Sometimes qualifying is a curse because you're like, oh my God, they're going to qualify. They're going to qualify the bikes. You know what I mean? They got guys on bicycles. They're going to qualify them now. But you can make it fun. And I noticed that Sports Drome Speedway up in Louisville, they used to do that when on their dromer class. They would flip a coin. They would be out there and they're like, okay, all you guys are ready to race. We're going to flip a coin. Okay, you guys are going backwards this week. They're going to be turning right instead of left. They go around the track backwards, not in reverse, but race around the opposite direction. I mean, how crazy is that? You don't know what you're going to do every week, and it could be you run left 3 weeks in a row and go right 3 weeks in a row, So, you think about these things and it's crazy, but that's pretty neat, talking about qualifying and how you can make it exciting. So, well, real quick, I want to touch on something. I want to talk about your number real quick, 225, and is that a special number for you? Did you come up with it out of the blue, or how did it come about?
That was when we raced Supercross. That's how it all started. That was the first number I remember having. My memory kicked in, so I was always 225 in my mind. And that's my whole life. That's what I've lived. What's your favorite number? 225. So it only seemed right. You're in dirt track. You're allowed to have three numbers.
Yeah, that's right.
So, that's what we went with, and that's what, as long as I do it and can, that's what I would like it to stay.
Well, that's good because a lot of guys really do think, and drivers we get back to being superstitious. Change your number might be bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen some guys that change their number and do really well. So, but if it means something to you, I think that's important to run that number. So, you talked about something a few minutes ago, and you talked about maybe getting the old crew chief up here. You think we got to give him a couple minutes?
I think so. Let's give him some time.
All right. Well, let's take just a quick break, and we'll come back on the other side. And we're going to come back now with a little special segment. We're going to bring the crew chief in here. Lee wanted to get his dad in here. And Jason, buddy, tell us about yourself a little bit, and then tell us what it means to be racing with your son and everything you're doing with that program.
Well, I really appreciate y'all letting me have just a second here, because one thing I want to say is, as far as me, I grew up, like he said, I never really had a motorsports competition background. We grew up on dirt bikes. We had little 50s, Honda 50s up to 80s as we grew up, and we rode trails as kids a lot. And then kind of as he said, when he was 6 or 7, I decided I wanted to we lived about 5 miles from Kentucky Motor Speedway, and a buddy of mine was running out there in the cruiser class, which, like you said, probably like a bomber class now.
Right.
And so I got a car and decided I wanted to give it a shot. So I did for 1 year, won a race, and then they closed the track down that next year. It was back in that time that they didn't have a promoter. So that was kind of my background. But as he said, you know, when I first told him that I wasn't going to have anything to do with it, I had started recently, was I guess, creator of the Beaver Dam Amphitheater.
Right.
I was the chairman of the Tourism Commission and facilitated that, and we had concerts going that year, and all at once he decides he wants to build a race car. And I said, I can't get involved. I've got all this going on. So when we first started and the wheel came off and the tie rod in, things like that, like I said, I got involved to try to help make it safe.
Right.
I didn't know anything about racing, especially mini stocks.
Oh, yeah.
So as we started, it took us about a month, I guess, to get the car lined out, electrical problems, things like that, and obviously he did very well.
Right.
And then I resigned, so from the Tourism Commission.
Oh, okay.
Because
not the race team.
No, because from the Tourism Commission, because I guess as a father, it's like anything that your kids are interested in, they show passion in.
Right.
And for me, that was the only goal. If they're in sports or things like that, that he had a genuine interest
right.
in it, and I wanted to do all that I could to help. So as we started building that first car, we had a long way to go.
No
so
way.
we received a lot of help, knowledge, doing research on the internet, hours and hours trying to figure out. But to me, that was the only thing that mattered, was spending that winter with my son, and when he was he had just turned 18,
mm-hmm.
and that I knew exactly where he was every night. And to me, that's what racing and motorsports and other sports, it's the team that you can build with our family, and it gives teenagers a different out, because they're going to find something to do. Exactly. Idle hands are of the devil, you know. They're going to find something to get into. So that was when I went both feet. I said, if this is what you want to do, we are going to make it happen. So we spent that winter building that car, and then all summer long, like I say, last year, had our family involved. And to me, that's what it's all about, and that's what it's been for me.
Right. And, you know, you talk about, you know, today's youth, and we don't want to give today's youth a bad rap, but, you know, they're so impressionable and they're so easy to get off on the wrong foot, you know, if the parents don't push them a little bit or try to expose them to different things. But, you know, your son got exposed to racing, and you know what, you kind of did it a little bit yourself, so you're like, well, hey, I know where he's coming from there. But, you know, being able to spend that time in that garage, spend that time at the racetrack, you know, that's worth its weight in gold, I think.
It was to me. That, like I said, that's the only reason that I would want to do this, because as everybody knows, in racing, it's expensive, it's time consuming, you lose a lot of blood, sweat, and tears working on the cars, building them. I mean, he's my child, so you worry, you know, every lap that he's out there about safety and things like that. So, but it doesn't matter. All that is, I guess, is put to the bottom of the list when you see the excitement and the engagement and the camaraderie, the friendships that he's made, that we have all made at the racetrack. And like you said, it's a racing family. I've met so many great people in just a short year, and I mean, we've only been in this like about a year and a half total now. So I mean, that these are legacies that will live on forever, and hopefully, like he said, we're being impressionable and trying to do our best to present the correct image to the racing family of how we see racing.
Right. Well, is there anything you want to add and anything you want to talk about real quick about your whole racing program or just racing in general?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm kind of will echo what Lee Michael said. It's, as I told you, we have been had to study a lot.
Right.
And you're not born knowing this stuff.
No.
Just like when I wasn't in the garage, he and his buddies put it together and he used SA standard nuts for lug nuts, and his wheel come off. He didn't know. You're not born knowing.
No.
So you have to put in the time and the work and the effort that it takes to become successful. Now, success for everyone is different, and I totally understand that. You may be successful in your mind, just going out and making laps and being at the racetrack.
Right.
With us, it's learning. We want to learn all that we can to be the best that we can.
Oh, absolutely.
And I guess that's what I would say to all racers and anybody that wants to come in. You're not going to be the best starting out. You have to put in your time, your homework, and learn everything that it takes to be a fast car and a dependable car.
Right. Well, it's great that you'd cover over to some of the advice stuff. But real quick, I want to ask you, what's your take on state of racing? I mean, what do you think about racing locally?
I agree. I think that especially the promoters in the local tracks go back to the A and B main. I mean, I think that was a tremendous, a good decision on Richard and them's part because of the long cautions. That track, the first time that we were there, it took an hour and 5 minutes to get the mini stock. And again, it was just based on experience level. There are different, and so as you did and I do know that they paid the B main. There was maybe like $100 less, but the A main made a certain amount, and they kicked over in the B main. So it was actually two features, not really an A and a B.
Right.
It was more of a more experienced drivers and a less experienced drivers. So to me, that was a really good thing. Again, Jimmy, Randy, Misty, all of them at Windy Hollow, I know they're putting in the time. And of course, those are really the only two tracks this year that I have been to and that we are associated with. And they are doing a tremendous job, and I know that they will not give up. So I think the state of racing is improving, but it's got a long way to go.
Right. Well, Jason, thank you for taking time to come on here and talk about your racing program and what it means to you to be racing with your family and your son. And maybe we can get you back on, and we'll swap some more stories here before long.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Having trouble getting your business vehicle noticed? Want your race machine to look sharp on and off the track? Give Josh Taylor a call at High Octane Wraps and Apparel. They specialize in high-quality vinyl graphics as well as full vehicle vinyl wraps. They can handle jobs of all sizes, whether you're racing go-kart all the way up to your semi-truck. With quick turnaround in design and install, you can truly call today and look good tomorrow. Give them a call at 270-929-2605 or stop by the shop at 2531 West 2nd Street in Owensboro.
And we're back. We're going to wave the checkered flag on this episode. We're here with Lee Michael Tierney, buddy. Why don't you take us through that list of sponsors? And man, I tell you what, you've had to add a second car that you drag around the racetrack just to put all your sponsors on. So it's a chain race every week for you. But that's a good problem to have. But let us hear those list of sponsors and everybody that helps you.
I mean, I want to start with, of course, crew chief and dad. But without these sponsors, it's like he touched on a while ago. It's junk's expensive,
Yes,
and
it is.
Trying to do it on your own, I mean, it can be done, but it's hard.
Right.
It takes a lot. But without all these sponsors, there's no way.
Right.
I don't believe to get to where we want to be and keep climbing and keep going. These sponsors that have been with us and have already committed to say they're going to be with us all the way through. That's awesome. But start off, Dish Network and Ken Thompson with Mustang Sampling, J.R. Williams TV and Appliance, Philip and Jay Oakley over at Oakley Motorsports, Moore Ford, all them guys, Booker's Gulf, Subway, Commonwealth Community Bank, Diamond Lake Resort, Dairy Queen, and Greg Embry with Embry's Towing. They've come on and put their dime in somebody new because, they thought they could see something there. And I'm so glad they did. And, what I do is for them. Their name's out there.
Right.
My reputation, yeah, but their name's on it. And they're the one footing the bill.
Right.
And you got to keep them happy.
Right. And that's a big thing, and especially even harkening back to the first episode, we gotta take care of the people that take care of us, and we gotta take care of those sponsors, because if those sponsors leave, what do we have? You know what I mean? It's us paying for it out of pocket, and most of us can't afford to do it every week. So, Lee, from the bottom of my heart, man, we've learned so much about you today, and being out here with your family, and you guys are on vacation this weekend, and being able to share in this time and some fellowship, different things with you guys. And it's been an eye-opener for us, and we can't thank you enough for wanting to support the show and come on and share your story with us.
Well, I thank y'all, for reaching out. This was an awesome experience. I love this, and y'all have me again, that'd be great. I'd love to do this again.
Is he politicking, man? I think that's what it is. But you know what, though, and I think that's a great point, because I guarantee you we just scratched the surface on everything that you got to say and some of the stories that you have. So, again, guys, where can they find you on Facebook?
Yeah, our team doesn't have Facebook, but I know, like, I'm on there, Lee Michael Tierney. My mom, she does really good posting stuff about the night and whatever, just on there, Instagram, whatever.
Okay. And what your usernames and everything, so we can find you?
My Instagram is Lee_Michael_225, and then Facebook's just my full name.
Right.
And hers is her name.
Okay. Well, Lee, again, thank you, and we can catch you at the local dirt tracks, especially Windy Hollow Speedway. Hopefully, Cedar Ridge Speedway coming up. And ladies and gentlemen, again, the driver of the 225 mini stock, Lee Michael Tierney. Thank you, buddy.
All right, thank y'all.
Let's face it, we love racing. We need to keep those race machines in tip-top shape to stay competitive. That's why we rely on Mark V race cars and parts located at 2035 West 2nd Street in Owensboro, Kentucky. They specialize in stock cars, but you'll find all the parts you need for your racing go-karts as well. They are your go-to experts for parts, wheels, tires, fuel, and a wide variety of other items to keep you on the track. They have hundreds of parts in stock and can special order thousands of others. Give John Hayden a call at 270-240-5587.
Well, here we are back again. We're going to close this episode out. Man, can you believe the stories we got today?
No, I can't, and I'm
just speechless, right?
I'm glad that we got that experience.
Yeah, his guys. We want to preface this. We just got to tell you about it, and you probably heard it from the episode. But again, if you don't understand how it went, we went out to Diamond Lake. We got out of the truck. We were sitting on the back patio of a little camping cabin, there, and we were there with Lee Michael Tierney's whole family, his father and his mother and his grandparents, and it was a family ordeal, and it was quite fitting because they are a very, very close-knit family. They're a faith-based family, and I could have sat there and talked to them for the rest of the day, but we don't want to do that, obviously, because we don't want to wreck their weekend.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious to see, those morals and those values that they exude in everything they do, reflected in Lee Michael and his racing product. I think that perseverance and not wanting to give up and not wanting to back down from a challenge, that comes from that family, and it is so evident in how loving and close and supportive they are.
Yeah, and they are, and that it does show, and how that he's got all the support in the world, and he touched on a couple of things. He talked about his crew and how sometimes your crew kind of gets out of hand in the pits if you got a large bunch of people and different things, and you're responsible for your crew. But he said that's why our crew's small, and and it's all close knit people that they know, they don't have to worry about. And hey, bring as many people as you want. I'm fine with that. But just make sure that, everybody knows kind of the code of conduct, and they can't be acting a fool, because, we're hearing some stories coming out of Windy Hollow of some things that may have happened or may not have happened. But again, we're not going to talk about it too much because, we weren't there and we don't know, and nor should it really get a whole lot of FaceTime anyway. But, guys, we need to clean it up, try to clean up the behavior a little bit, and, make sure that, and I tell you, the Tierneys are a shining example of, just love everybody, man.
Absolutely.
You may not get along, but, you're not out to kill that guy. You know what I mean? You don't have to do that. So, again, some shenanigans went on, good or bad, either way. Probably shouldn't have happened. Leave that crap at home, guys. You know what I mean? Let's settle it on the racetrack. If you got a beef, that's the place to do it, and don't tear each other's car up. So.
Nope.
Anyway, so back to what we were saying.
Listening to, stories, on air and off air, because we did talk for a while, about his family and how they work together as a team. And, when they get done racing, they bring the car home and they start the very next day, start cleaning things up and checking bolts and checking wires. And, it is a family affair. It is something that they do together as a family. And, he talked about how his dad just wanted to get started to begin with to make things safe. But you can see how excited his dad is about the wins, and how excited seeing how proud he is to see his son, run that car around the track.
Right. Well, and he is, and he. And the cool part about this is, guys, and I know you just listened to that interview section. You better have. Anyway, but Lee Michaels' dad came on, and when Jason got on, he echoed a lot of the same things, and you can absolutely tell where his son gets it from, because his dad is very, very intelligent. He's well spoken. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and he passes that on. And it's a chip off the block, and they've got the same values and they act the same. But it was cool to hear him talk about, and I touched on it too, about today's youth. And again, they're not misguided. They just need some guidance.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're maybe not misguided. They just need some guidance. And if we can steer them to turning wrenches and beating stuff up with hammers in the garage that's replaceable, well, that may be keeping them out there beating up somebody else's car with a hammer out on some street somewhere, or paintballing, or things like that, or smoking, whatever you're not supposed to smoke, and taking drugs and drinking. There's ways to have fun in life, and that's not one of them.
Well, and it's, if you get somebody in there young, you're not just teaching them, kind of mechanic skills, but you're teaching them problem-solving skills that are going to go with them through their entire life. If something's not working right in the engine, then you teach them, this is how we track it down. This is how we figure out what the problem is. And those are skills that will translate into every other aspect of somebody's life. So,
well, and I'm not that I'm any better than anyone or anything like that. I drink a little bit, I have done that socially, I don't go overboard with it, but I've never taken drugs in my life, and I haven't done anything. I don't look upon anyone who has. I would hope that you'd clean it up, clean your life up, because you can have a better quality of life.
Sure.
And I know that Jake sat down and talked to us. He said he's done a lot of the wrong things right, and he's turned his life around, and he has a great life, guys. He's a testament story, and he's a survivor of some things, and that should tell you.
Yep.
But here's the thing: if we give these kids an outlet to do things, I think we get more Lee Michael Tierney's.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a hard-nosed driver. He's got a mind for racing. Loves it. Absolutely loves it. Didn't love it. I mean, he told you that. I mean, when he went to the dirt track, he's like, man, I'm ready to go home. And then, they're like, well, let's go back into the pits next week. And you know what? I've been saying this. Guys, we cannot stress it enough. The pits you meet so many people, and most racers are going to welcome you. Hey, come over and look at the car, man. Hey, you thinking about getting into racing? This stuff. That's what we need.
Yep.
We need more one-on-one time with the drivers and the crews. And how do we get that, man? I don't know. Do we need to set aside a time where people can come in and talk to them, or just?
I mean, maybe a fan hour or something.
Yeah.
So, that's something maybe down the road we can, bring up and talk to some people who can make that happen.
Right. And, maybe it'll catch on.
Maybe
that'll be the Ben Fender Podcast Fan Hour is sponsored by, so that'd be pretty cool. The Ben Fender Fan Hour.
That would be cool.
I mean, don't use other fans to bend fenders. Okay? This is not what this is for.
No.
But guys, I just think I think it's pretty cool, and how we've learned so much, and I'll tell you personally, and coming from a family, who's rooted in the faith as well. I mean, I'm probably not the one to talk about it the most, but I know what I believe, and but it's pretty cool how we heard the story of, and we got to see pictures, guys. I know this is not a video podcast, but we got to see pictures of all the Bible verses that are on the hood of that car. and then it got wrapped over that way. It's underneath there, and as long as the hood doesn't go flying out in the lake or something, I mean, they've got it. You know what I mean? Which I don't think they're going to have to worry about that. But
I think out of most every story that we've been told by, our 9 guests that we've had, I think that's probably one of my favorites.
it is.
And I think it's one of my favorites.
And that's not making
because-
light of anybody's story.
No,
That's just,
no.
just each one is unique.
But the fact that they have something that connects them all together, you
Yeah.
know, and helps keep, their grandmother's legacy alive, and helps bring them, peace. I think that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard, you
Right.
know, and it's something that people don't know, and now they do.
Yeah.
So
And again, guys, I got a little misty whenever I was sitting there talking to him about that, and I started to ramble a little bit because I really just didn't know what to say. It kind of caught me off guard, and it made my day better. It did. And we think about some of the things that are going on in our lives, and how some things are just petty in comparison. And we've got guys. A lot of us got great lives, and we're just too dumb to see it sometimes. And I mean, the sun's shining. It was a beautiful day at Diamond Lake. Kids playing, go-karts wrecking our podcast, and loudspeaker announcements. But, it was pretty funny, and I don't know if you guys can hear it in the final product. But, yeah, the go-kart track was running right across the lake from us. And how fitting was that? I mean, that's pretty cool because, Lee Michael told us a story about how he started on asphalt karts there at Diamond Lake. So, that's something that was pretty befitting, So, and again, it's a beautiful day. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Hopefully, for the rest of the weekend, and hopefully everybody can get their racing in. I know Windy Hollow had a big show. Lee Michael won the last week, and it was a pretty good deal. And not last week, but yesterday,
last night.
Excuse me. Yeah. I keep getting my timeline off, but he won last night at Windy Hollow Speedway, and he talked to the track, talked about the track, not to the track. I hope he was out there crawling around talking to the track, but talked to the track surface in the fact that he's saying the track surface was very, very good last night. And I know from our crew chief, Chris Norris, he was in attendance, just raving about the track. Loved it. Advised, said the track surface was just awesome last night. So
the work that Jimmy and Randy and those guys have been putting in is paying off dividends.
well, it is, and but we talk about how Cedar Ridge is having good car counts and good and great racing surface. We want everyone to have that.
Yep.
Because if every track has a great racing surface, every track has a pit full of cars,
Stands full of fans.
It's awesome,
Yep.
guys. I mean, like I said, I've kind of amended my stance on some of the state of racing stuff, but I think racing's coming back a little bit, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So, I mean, I'm a fan first and foremost, a driver second, and podcaster third, I guess. But that goes along with being a fan, I guess. But it's encouraging, and it ought to be encouraging to Richard Ashby. It ought to be encouraging to Jimmy Westerfield and Randy Westerfield and Misty, and kudos to those guys because I was
Absolutely.
at Cedar Ridge last weekend. Let me tell you, that track was. I mean, that was like the tracks of old. I remember. And when that racing is second to none, and we had some great racing down there last Saturday night. I know there's some great racing at Windy Hollow. I got to, I want to thank especially the Falloway family for streaming a few of the races live. I got to watch those while I was at work, and I'm on both sides of the fence of this. Part of me wishes, maybe you shouldn't stream stuff like that, just for the simple fact is, hey, if you want to see it, pay your money, go to Windy Hollow and watch it.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
but we can't all do that. So then again, I like it how people will stream the races sometimes, and give us a view of it, and that's appreciated. And if you can get, and I tell you, the cruiser feature last night had upwards of almost 60 people watching it. I kept counting, looking at the counter. Almost 60 people watching it at the same time, and while that race was going on. And let me tell you, it was a hell of a race. And Cole Falloway and Michael Driscoll were just absolutely tearing the house down for 500 to win. Well, Cole was running for 1,100 to win based on his performance last night, and he even chose to start in the back for extra money. So, and just daggone near won it. And two guys, and they race each other clean. There was no fender banging. There was no helmet throwing and squirt gun shooting or nothing. Those guys, they put on a heck of a show, and that's what the fans came to see, and they got it. So, want to give a shout out to those guys and everyone who won last night, who's going to hopefully win tonight. I don't know. One thing is, we talk about them streaming stuff on Facebook. Lee had a good point. Maybe these radio stations, we can get them involved, and they do live broadcast. And I know that Western Kentucky Speedway tried that several years ago, and the remote seemed like the remote kept kind of messing up just a little bit. But I'm wondering if they can, like a BKR or a BIO or somebody, especially since BIO has the Regional Motorsports Power Hour, hook Jake and Barry up to the mics and let them call the races. Hey, I don't know. Maybe they don't want to give up that much for their radio time, but it certainly would be exciting. I kind of think.
I agree.
I think they could get sponsors aplenty to do that and then pay for the radio time. So, hey guys, I'm just rambling. And the reason why I'm going to quit rambling is because it's Memorial Day weekend. You guys need to get out and enjoy your weekend. Enjoy some racing. Listen to us on the way home. Listen to us when you go to sleep.
Or while you're barbecuing.
Drinking the cold brewskis with the... I know that Billy Igler was smoking his barbecue today, and dang, did it look good on Facebook. You know what I mean? I could smell the smoke, and I've had that stuff, and it is awesome. So, you guys, if you want some good barbecue, see Billy Igler, Billy's Badass Barbecue. Don't overwhelm him, but he cooks every so often, every few weekends.
He does.
Buy his stuff, help him out. Again, go and if you want to help Billy out too, go to Performance Racing Weekly on Facebook. See what all he has on there in his archival footage or recordings. Definitely make sure you make it out to Maloney's Pizza and Wings in Owensboro every Monday night. Listen to Blake Smith, our very first guest on this show for Regional Motorsports Power Hour. You can catch them on 102.7 ESPN The Game and 94.7 WBIO 7 to 8:30. I was going to say 8 to 7:30. You can't do that.
No time travel.
We're not Doc Brown.
No time travel.
But no, 7 to 8:30. And go out there and support them. You can get discounts on pizza and, 25%?
Off of any specialty pizza.
Right, it's good stuff. So make sure you guys get out and support those guys too. They're working hard to keep motorsports going. So you can find us on Facebook, Conway Racing Team, Twitter @Conway Race Team, Instagram, Conway Racing, the website, www.conwayracingteam.com. You can find us, Apple folks, on iTunes, Android folks, which I'm pointing at you there, Fender Shim.
I am an Android folk. Google Play Store. You can find us through Podcast Addict, the Podbean app, which is the host of our podcast.
Right.
You can find us on Stitcher, TuneIn,
Spotify.
YouTube. Yep.
And you can also find a few racing videos over there. We got to get on that, get some more racing videos. We'll do it. Our sponsors here at the podcast, Mach 5 Race Cars, Parts, and Carts. Go see John Hayden and those guys down there. Fairview IT Management. Give Gabriel Kirtley a call for any of your computer crapouts. He can certainly help you. Martin's Towing and Recovery. Chad's Barbershop. Glenstone Construction. Slingshot Media Group. We talked about them early in the show. As always, we're affiliated with Casper Racing, Phantom 309 Racing, Blaze Mountain Racing. We'd like to thank our newest podcast sponsors, High Octane Racewear and Apparel and Graphics and Accoutrement for your car. Give them a call today, look good tomorrow. That's their slogan. So, also, we'd like to thank Willie's Carbon Dyno Shop for everything that Billy has been able to do for us in their name, and we appreciate their products, and we hope you will too. So, Wes,
Nathan,
it's been a great day, man.
I've had a blast.
We've done it all in one day, and so it's not a bad deal. So hopefully everybody will enjoy this episode just like they have all of the others. Currently over 700 downloads. Again, thank you. We can't thank you enough for that. And here's to 1,000. Cheers. I don't have a drink, but raise your glass. So, big things coming down the pike.
Absolutely.
So, well, Wes, are we done?
Well, I think we're done. I think we have covered it all.
Done?
We have covered it all.
We need to let them get back to their weekend. So, guys, get out and enjoy some racing this weekend. And, thank you, veterans. And remember those who have fallen and gone on, especially, fought in any war, didn't fight in a war, it's okay. As long as they're a veteran. And make sure you keep them close to your hearts, especially if you got any in your family. I know it's important. So, with that, we're going to sign it off. For Wes, the Fender Shim, Lou Allen, I got to think of something better for next week.
It'll be all right.
Fender Shim was good.
I like
I
it.
like it. So anyway, I'm Nathan Conway, driving the number 40 stock car, and thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.